It might be mid-April, but ski season is going strong. We're bringing you up to Ski Santa Fe to check out the folks who are still spring skiing. It's not something you see every day. The Rio Grande completely dried up. In fact, if you come down to the South Valley at Rio Bravo Boulevard, you can walk across the Rio Grande, shore to shore, and you won't even get your feet wet. Also coming prepared, and they're bringing more than just decorations. They're bringing tents, they're bringing umbrellas to block out the sun, and they're bringing plenty of water as they count down to the fireworks show. This 420 celebration is actually happening in an alleyway here. Come and take a look. They have over 20 to 25 vendors all set up, and while they're not selling any marijuana or cannabis, they do have a lot of marijuana themed products. Like, take a look at these. They might look like nuggets of cannabis. It's actually chocolate covered strawberries, and Emily tells me they taste like a strawberry shortcake. This is the exact same on-ramp that the president took about a half an hour to an hour ago. They had the interstate closed off northbound here at this intersection, but let's take a look at what the traffic is looking like now. We're pulling up onto I-25, and look at that, smooth sailing in both directions. But on Sunday, when they put out that all points bulletin for his car, police say the community really rallied together to try to find that Volkswagen Jetta. They got tips from people all across the state, including from people here in Albuquerque who are a part of the Muslim community, saying they recognized Mohammed Saeed's car, and then later they tracked him down as he was driving east.
Another armed robbery caught on camera. We talked to the store owners about what this means for their business going forward.
Well, this gas station about 12 miles north of Las Vegas has become an emergency shelter of sorts. People have been camping out in this parking lot, watching the smoke, waiting to go home. But take a look at this smoke down Highway 94 towards Pandaray. It is a wall of smoke, and you can't see very far. And multiple people say they've been waiting in this parking lot for that smoke and these evacuation orders to clear. I spoke to one family who said they came down Highway 518 from their house to check out the smoke, but then when they went back home to pack, this is what they found. A state police blocking 518, saying it's become a mandatory evacuation, and they couldn't even go home to pack their bags.
We want to start, though, with Spencer Schacht, who witnessed this shooting as it happened. Spencer, you called 911 right away. So glad you and Adon, our photographer, are okay. So what did you see that led up to this shooting today?
Well, Tessa, essentially it was a case of protesters versus counter-protesters. Now, the protesters who were out here celebrating that the Oñate statue did not go back up today were just feet away from this cement block that is right in front of the county building. But that is when the moment when a counter-protester rushed towards the group, jumping over this wall and started running towards them. And that's where we see that gets picked up here by this video from Instagram. You can see the counter-protester, who we were later able to identify through Facebook as Ryan Martinez, ran towards the crowd and was tackled by the folks who were against the Oñate statue. They were able to take off his Make America Great Again hat as he jumped back over the wall and pulled out a gun, fired one shot, striking a protester. Organizers from today's protest say there was no need for this violence, but they aren't surprised that it happened.
There's so much precedence for telling people like this young man, this shooter, that they're going to get away with it. And I fully believe he did this thinking that he would get away with it.
Now, state police were able to arrest Martinez just a short time later, but protesters say this is a perfect example of why they were out here in the first place.
This demonstrates exactly what we were fighting for. We have been pointing out that this hasn't been just about a statue, but about what it represents and the legacy of violence and hate that it is a foundation for.
Now, after this shooting, I was able to call the chair of the Rio Arriba County Commission, who's a big proponent for putting the statue back up on that pedestal. I asked him, after everything that happened this afternoon, does he still want that statue to be put up? Here's what he had to say.
If it was up to me, that statue would go back up. When? I don't know, but the fact of the matter is that I am not going to melt that statue just to satisfy 2 or 3 individuals that are not even from this valley.
Now, the county commission meeting that was scheduled to happen tonight has been postponed until October 5th. That decision was made before the shooting happened, but there is no word yet on the fate of the Oñate statue, on whether or not it will be put up, and if it is, when. Back to you. Back in November, police were called to the Pizza Hut on Wantabo after a masked man armed with a handgun cornered an employee in the parking lot and made him open up the safe inside.
We see that there's video surveillance available. It wasn't available to the field officers that actually responded to the call. So my investigator asked the divert team to go and retrieve that video surveillance so that we could look and see if there was any identifying information of the offender.
This particular group was Divert, a digital imagery video response team. And what they did is they went and recovered some video based on a request from one of the detectives.
Sergeant Wood says he only has 4 detectives on his robbery unit, so having this extra group available to gather evidence really helps in their investigations. So back to the Pizza Hut robbery investigation. After leaving the back of this Pizza Hut, the suspect, Christian Orozco, ran through the back parking lot and then down this alley. But little did he know there were even more cameras back here.
So they started following that same pathway of where this individual took off and saw that in the alleyway there was more cameras from a Domino's down the street.
That surveillance video captured Orozco walking through the parking lot next door, taking off his mask and going into the back door of a Wendy's, where police later found out he worked. But they would have never known that without the help of the divert team.
It solved the case. So the divert team member that went out was asked to get the video from the Pizza Hut. They took the initiative to go and find surrounding businesses that also had video of the offender walking south through the alley.
Once they ID'd the suspect as Christian Orozco, they found out this wasn't his first run-in with the law. In fact, police say he was wearing an ankle monitor when he was seen robbing the Pizza Hut at gunpoint.
The icing on the cake was that ankle monitor. We were able to contact his probation parole officer, and they provided GPS points of him going from his place of employment to the Pizza Hut to commit the robbery and then back to the place of employment.
Orozco is now back in jail up in Taos County for his parole violation and warrants, but eventually he'll have to come back here to Albuquerque to face his latest charges of armed robbery. Spencer Schacht, KOB4. This stretch of Eubank just south of Central has been frustrating drivers for a few weeks now, all because there's no stripes on the road. How was it driving in?
Confusing.
The confusion starts as you cross Central, headed south on Eubank.
I just said, oh, no lines.
Yeah, no lines, and gee, you can just go wherever you want.
It seems a lot of drivers feel that way. Just watching folks drive by, no 2 cars take the same path down the road. Some even ending up where they're not supposed to.
I got smushed into a turning lane over there because I didn't know that lane was ending.
According to the City of Albuquerque's Department of Municipal Development, a project like this resurfacing Eubank has multiple steps that they have to go through. The first step is the curing process, which takes about 4 weeks after the surface is laid down. The next step is planning the layout of the street, of what it will look like, and that process takes about a week. And then finally, the last step is painting the new stripes on the road, and that striping process will also take a week. So in total, a project like this will take about 6 weeks for completion. We just passed the 4-week mark on this project, but drivers who frequent the area would like to see new lines sooner rather than later. Next time you come down, what are you hoping to see?
I'm hoping there is some organization to it. Yeah, make it safe for everybody.
Stripes. Stripes, so everybody knows where they're supposed to go.
While the city says they hope this project will only take 6 weeks, they do say they're running a little bit behind schedule. And that's because there's only one contractor working on every striping project throughout the city. Reporting in Albuquerque, Spencer Schacht, KOB4.
So we all know Balloon Fiesta is truly a really great family event, but there's a father-son duo that's kind of taken that up a notch.
Yeah, Spencer Schacht's going to take us up in the air as we meet Art and Johnny Hodge, who flew special shapes side by side for the very first time.
Starting their day bright and early, Johnny Hodge and his father Art get their balloons ready.
Right there,
Art is flying Duma the cheetah, and Johnny is piloting Splash the penguin. Now the Hodges are no strangers to balloons. Art has been flying since the 80s, and Johnny started ballooning before he was able to drive.
I've been flying since I was 14. That's when I got my student pilot's license.
While they've flown together in the same basket hundreds of times, this is their first time taking off at Balloon Fiesta, side by side. So not only is it your first time flying here, but it's also your first time flying with your dad. How does that feel to take off right next to him?
It's extremely exciting, extremely emotional as well. You know, I can't put into words how exciting it is to be flying next to my dad, you know, my idol, someone I've looked up to, and I don't even know what to say.
As they fly over Fiesta together.
Pop, what's your altitude up there?
2,800.
Sounds good, I'm coming up.
Thousands of feet in the air, they get to take a family portrait.
Hold still, they're trying to get my picture with you in the background. Hold on.
But what goes up must come down.
You guys want to come catch me?
But this adventure is a high the Hodges will be riding for a long time.
I'm emotional too. That's a great feeling. I know he's really been into it since I got out of ballooning. He's got into it big time. Ballooning is so great, and there's nothing like sharing it with people, especially when you share it with your family.
Reporting at Balloon Fiesta, Spencer Schacht, KOB4.